Hello and welcome to Women Thrive TV. I'm so excited to have all of you here for today's show. My name is Raimonda Jan. I'll be your host for today's show. And this is 5 Keys to Thrive, all the lessons that you wish you knew sooner. I have a wonderful guest with me today, but in this show, we covering episodes talking about spotlighting women from all areas of life and business and talking about the 5 things that we really wish that we knew when we first started, whether in business, entrepreneurship, or life itself. And this show is all about voices of thought leaders, entrepreneurs, change makers, and those who are visionary women around the world to really bring their wisdom, their knowledge, and lived experiences into real life to inspire our audience today. So we believe that you have a voice and you have a superpower within it. But let's delve right in. In today's episode, we're talking about the 5 keys to calm and connected motherhood. And my lovely guest today is Emily Cleghorn. Good morning, good afternoon, Emily. How are you doing?
Hey Ray, I'm great. How are you?
I'm so excited for us to be able to do this. For those who are watching, you may not know, we had all sorts of tech challenges beforehand, but I'm so glad that we made it.
Yeah, the universe was throwing stones at us, but you know what? We're resilient.
Yeah, and I haven't had the opportunity to get to know Emily, and even just facing these challenges to get onto this episode today, she was so determined and so patient with me with my tech challenges. And I was like, you know what? There's one person that I know that will never give up, and that is definitely Emily. So it's my pleasure to introduce my guest, Emily Cleghorn, who's an award-winning recovery coach for mothers, author, a podcaster, and an inspirational speaker. She's on a mission to help trauma surviving mamas break cycle by managing their emotional triggers and creating a really peaceful and loving home. And she's driven by a desire to create positive ripples for the future generations, as Emily shares her own story of navigating her own trauma recovery whilst parenting. So she offers really practical tools and inspiration for mamas trying to reclaim peace and healing in their lives. And today she will be sharing the 5 keys to calm and connected mamahood. Emily, it's a huge pleasure to have you here. And me as a mom myself, I know just how important this subject is for a lot of our listeners.
Yeah, being a calm and connected mama was something that I struggled with at first. I didn't know the first thing about it, but you know what? Our kids depend on us for their nervous system development, and they
Mm.
soak in everything, even the unspoken stuff that we are dealing with. And they learn from that. That creates their blueprint. And so this is something that is a huge passion, divine purpose, if you will, for me.
Yeah. And I know you have a really powerful story to share as well, which just lends itself into what you do. So tell our audience just a little bit about your own experience and how this has played out into you figuring out these 5 keys to being much calmer in your parenthood.
Yeah, so my start in life was quite traumatic. Parental abandonment, abuse, neglect, all of the things that you can imagine. And for a really long time, I did what I was taught to do. I pushed it down and I ignored it and I ran away from it. And then in 2018, when I became a mama, it came running at me. I call it the trauma freight train. It came barreling down the tracks, going 100 miles an hour, and lambasted me. And all of those feelings and emotions that I repressed came to the surface and demanded at once to be dealt with, which, as you can imagine, was incredibly overwhelming. And I knew that I had a choice. I was confronted with a choice of either staying and figuring it out and facing the unknown, because I didn't know at that point how much healing I had to do. Or I could listen to what my nervous system was telling me, which was run like hell and get as far away from here as you can, because it's not safe. Because for me,
Mm.
I didn't have a safe maternal role model. I didn't have a safe mother figure. For me, my maternal figures were they displayed conditional love, and they weren't
Mm.
reliable, and it was, we'll have a relationship when it serves me, not you need me as a child and I'm going to be here for you no matter what. And so learning how to be that for my kids was a journey that required a lot of grit and determination, because where we parent from is usually what we inherit, the parenting skills that we inherit from our childhood. And sometimes those parenting habits aren't the healthiest. And so you have to kind of question yourself and be like, okay, now I have to figure it out a different way, because I know what I lived through wasn't what I want my kids to live through.
Yeah. It's so powerful that you saying that, what you inherit is what you're going to pass on to your children. And having been through so much trauma in your life, you weren't given the tools and also the love. And I think as children, all they truly want is love. But
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't been nurtured that way, there is almost like no cup to give from when you bring your own children into life. And as I say, everything just started to come up and started to
Mm-hmm.
trigger you. And you could have quite easily, if you chose the first option, which was just run and hide and not deal with it, you would have repeated the same
Mm-hmm.
patterns with your children over again. And that's so sad. I've seen neglected children in the playgrounds, and all they want is just love and attention. You see how the parenting at such a young age and not giving your child love and attention starts to you'll then start to see it's like, oh, that's why this person could end up the wrong path in life, seeking bad relationships or toxic
Mm-hmm.
relationships, or um, becoming addicted to substances that isn't good because they're just looking for love and acceptance, really. That's the point of it. Okay, so let's dive into the 5 keys. I'm really interested in what you discovered on your journey, because this is really your life's work, your condensed version of what you've learned on your journey in finding more calm, peace, and really more connectedness to your children and motherhood.
Yeah. So the key is fostering an attachment with your children. And if you're not able to feel that attachment in yourself, because trauma creates detachment,
Yeah.
disconnection. And so it's really about healing so that, and finding connection within yourself so that you can connect externally to your kids. And so the first key in doing that is your desire. Hands down, that there is another way to parent, and you know that you are not willing to accept that the reality for your children is what you lived as a child. And so
Mm.
that's where the rubber really meets the road, is you're no longer willing to say, okay, this is just how life is. It's just going to be hard. I just have to accept the crap and be the doormat. And you're saying no more. I know that there's another way. I might not know what it is right now, and I might have a lot of work to do, but I'm going to figure it out. And so that
Mm.
desire and the willingness to not accept the dysfunction or the toxicity.
Well,
From there, for me, I needed to build my trigger toolkit. This is something that I talk with my clients and all through everything that I do. And your trigger toolkit is first an awareness of what your triggers are, because for so many overwhelmed mamas, for so many people, not just trauma survivors, but people, because everybody has trauma to some capacity, we don't know what our triggers are. We just know that something happened and we reacted. And those triggers act as a time machine and take you way back to when that feeling first came to the surface, the first time you felt that. And so your willingness, and then building your awareness and collecting your tools.
it's almost like dealing with addiction, isn't it? Just the first key is desire to change and desire to do something different. And so I love that the first key is really the desire part of wanting to make a change and realizing that the same pattern isn't going to serve you. And the second part was Trigger Toolkit, which recognizing what is actually triggering you, because trauma has a way of bringing up so much crap from subconscious mind and subconscious programming in a way that you're not even in control or you're not even necessarily consciously aware of. So that's really interesting. And you help people with figuring out their triggers as well when you work with people, right, Emily?
Yeah, so we go through a process of identifying your triggers, not in a way to judge yourself, because that's not helpful, but in a way to bring awareness and notice what's going on, because you cannot change that old cliche. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. So if you
Mm.
keep your head buried in the sand and don't pay attention to what's happening, your triggers are not the enemy. They are information for you. They are pointing to things that need to be healed. They are an opportunity, not something that causes you to be a bad mom, for example. And
Yeah.
and so really quick, I just want to address the difference between mom guilt and mom shame, because there's a difference. Mom guilt is, it happens when you do something and you're like, oh, maybe that wasn't the right way to act in that particular situation. I should really go apologize for that. Mom shame is a trigger happens and you say, oh no, I'm such a bad mom because I yelled at my kids. I'm a terrible mom. And it's an identity. Whereas mom guilt is, I did something, an action was not the right action to take. It's not an identity. We can address mom guilt. If you are dealing with mom shame, that
Mm.
is a much, much deeper root.
Amazing. Interesting. It's an interesting distinction. And I can see shame is such a powerful emotion that really stops us in our track. So it's interesting that you kind of identified the two. Okay, what is the next step in the process?
So once you have an awareness of what your triggers are, and then we can start to reclaim your calm, which is the third step. And that is building out your trigger toolkit with the tools that help you come back to calm. It's not about never being triggered again, because let's be realistic, we are human. Triggers happen. We lose our cool from time to time, but you will no longer be tiptoeing on eggshells around your triggers. And so everybody's tools are going to be different, and a tool may work for you for a given time frame, and then it might not work for you anymore because you've grown beyond that. And so this is a piece that ebbs and flows, and that's okay. It's supposed to. Developing different tools that help you maintain your calm and establishing routines and addressing the beliefs that you hold and growing your self-compassion.
In parenthood, every day is different, and the stages of parenthood is also different. And I remember one morning, I woke up and I must have not slept enough, and maybe I woke up a bit more emotional. And I was on the phone with my partner, and he could see my responses to my daughter being a little bit more, perhaps more emotional or more active than usual, not listening to me. And he's like, "You're getting triggered, right? You're getting, just come back to peace, come back to being in your alignment." It's not easy. And that day, I remember it was so hard. It was so hard to maintain that peace when other things are starting to play a part. But then the next day, you wake up, you start again, you start a fresh page. So it's not like you have to stay there. But I think knowing how to manage and recognize some of these things, it's a really powerful and practical tool, because you have to navigate motherhood on a daily basis. It's a daily work, it's a daily practice, and therefore grounding and peace and self-connection and being in your alignment, it has to be a daily practice. Otherwise, you're going to be on a roller coaster 24/7.
Absolutely. Yeah. Developing a routine around nurturing your nervous system, because that's what this whole journey is about. It's not about fixing you, because you're not broken. Your nervous system needs love. It has been dysregulated for potentially a very long time. Mine was dysregulated for over 25 years. So that takes time. And this journey is one that I personally have been on for the last almost 7 years. And so it's not an overnight thing. It's not a one and done thing. It's an ongoing evolution. And so being patient with yourself and loving on yourself so that you can love on your kids and your partner and all of the other amazing people in your life.
Yeah, I love that. What's the next stage? So we got desire, trigger toolkit, reclaiming your calm. What's number 4?
So number 4 is trigger proofing your relationships. Now, what on earth am I talking about when I say trigger proof your relationships? Well, I'm talking about establishing boundaries, not just with other people, of course, that's important, but with yourself. And this is about This is about owning your worth, deciding what type of behaviors are going to be acceptable, putting those in place nicely, of course. You don't need to be a meanie pants about it, but and then holding firm to that. And this can be really challenging for a lot of people, especially trauma survivors, because we've been taught that unless I'm serving you, unless I'm managing the situation so that nobody is upset with me, I'm not in trouble, then I'll be loved or I'll be included.
Yeah.
And that people pleasing behavior is not going to serve you or your nervous system. It's going to lead to burnout and health issues galore. So those boundaries are something that not only you as a mama need, but your kids also need them. And in my book that's coming out in July, I talk about all of the different stress responses and how they impact your parenting and how they impact your kids. And not in a way that is going to shame you, because that's never my intention, but in a way that to bring awareness so that you can understand how a lack of boundaries, which is a trauma response, how that people pleasing impacts your children. It's
Yeah.
really deep and profound, the impact.
Everything. Our children are like little photocopiers. They copy us every single day. And the things I say, the way I call my mom, she calls me in my own language. And it's amazing. Our children pick up everything. They're so, so observant and also emotionally intelligent, because perhaps,
Mm-hmm.
especially when they're young, they might not be able to speak or understand everything, but the emotion is what they pick up, and they're very intelligent. Okay, last but not least, key to connected parenthood.
So, last but certainly not least, is future focused healing. So, considering what your vision is, casting your vision, and planning ahead so that you're not reacting to situations, but you are able to respond to situations. And the energy between reacting and responding is so different, so different. And you are able to think about, okay, so where do I want to be in a year's time? Where do I want to be in 5 years' time? How do I want to be parenting my children? How might I address X, Y, and Z that comes up at this stage of growing up? So, for example, how am I going to address the preteen attitude that comes up,
Mm.
or teenage years? Because there's a lot of things that we have to navigate as moms that can be potentially triggering for us, because depending upon what experiences we had. And so we have to thinking ahead instead of painting it with a paintbrush of dread and reactivity, changing the narrative and being responsive to it.
Yeah, it's so important. I think casting that vision of how you want your future be.
Yeah.
And healing is a journey, and with new challenges and growth, there will be new layers. But at least knowing that, look, I want to have a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
I want to come from a place of being connected to myself and my family in a healthy way. Want to have a healthy boundaries. I don't want to be people pleasing all the time. Just
Hmm.
knowing some of those key things where you want to be is already a really good starting point and a roadmap to say, here are the things that I need to work on. I know these are the areas where I constantly get triggered.
Hmm.
Um, but, as you started this episode, it's a desire. You can't help someone who does not have that desire to change or see their life in a different way. So it really does start with a desire part.
Yeah. Yeah, that desire is really key. My grandmother always used to say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So it really does come down to wanting and having that desire, being determined to figure it out, even though it's hard, because at the beginning of your journey, it's going to be really easy to say, you know what, this is too hard, and I'm going to go back to the way things were. But eventually, you're going to look at how far you've come, and you're going to say, nope, it's too hard to go back now. I might as well keep going forward because it's too hard to go back now.
Yeah.
And the
So worth it. The
work,
healing part is so worth it.
yeah, and the work, it for the cycle breaker, it is a hard work because nobody understands what you're doing and why it's important, but you are changing your lineage. You are impacting your entire lineage. It's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. This work is so deep. I haven't seen women come from really deep trauma, abuse, childhood neglect, so many very dark experiences. And Emily, I've heard your story multiple times. You're such an inspiration, and you talked about that resilience and that commitment and courage to do the work. And that's why I think you're such a great mentor for women who have gone through something really difficult and are in that place of being stuck, feeling like they might not be good enough. They might be struggling severely with their parenting. I know you do also homeschooling, and I know your kids have also different needs than others. We talked about that just before we came on. I mean, just share a little bit about where you're at now and kind of the life that you live, because you have still daily challenges, but you navigating it with such a grace and commitment to continuous work.
Yeah, so at this stage of the game, I am the homeschool mama of two beautiful babies. They saved my life, really. They really did. They saved my life. But they are both neurodiverse. We are a
Mm.
neurosparkly family, and that comes with learning how to cope with different nervous system needs. Both of my kids have very sensitive nervous systems, and their point of overwhelm is much sooner than a neurotypical child's. And so that means that I have to have a handle on my own nervous system so that I am not causing the situation to explode further than it needs to. And so that is a
Mm.
skill that have been I've been working on. It's not a perfect journey, and that's not the point. We're not trying to achieve perfection. But I am present, I am safe for my kids, and I am teaching them how to apologize when we make mistakes. I am teaching them that it's okay to make mistakes, that sometimes life happens and that's okay. But we take responsibility. It's okay to be mad, but it's not okay to hurt other people. And working with them on building emotional safety and the skills they need to be emotionally aware is huge.
Yeah. It's so massive. Just what you share now is just, it's so massive. And when you were speaking, I was like, that was truly a gift to have children who have just a special, I don't want to say special needs, but they need that special attention and care from their mom. And they teaching you lessons every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost forced you to be more present, more connected. And therefore it's a blessing. It's a real blessing to have sensitive children who need that love and attention more so than, any other child might do. And that's allowing you to learn the things that you weren't given in your own childhood. So it's a true blessing.
It really is. It really is.
Amazing. What last words do you want to share with someone? A mom who might be listening to this, she's already feeling inspired. She may want to make a change, but perhaps it feels like a still long stretch to get there to where you are today.
Well, to that mama who is listening, who may not be at the very beginning of her journey, but she is still in that phase where it feels like hard work, where it feels like it's never going to work. She's never going to be able to be calm and connected. It's heavy right now. Mama, you won't realize it, but your reactivity, your triggers will slip away with like a thief in the night if you just keep going. Connect yourself to a community and with a group of mamas who understand what you're dealing with and who can lift you up when you feel like you can't go any further, because we all have those days. You are not alone.
Yeah, definitely. Parenthood can feel lonely when you don't have that support and community around you. So it's wonderful. And I know you have a community for women as well to be part of.
Yeah, I have. It's called the Mamahood After Trauma Inner Circle. It's a WhatsApp community. And so you can get real-time support, real-time connection. We're not worried about algorithms and you being able to see what's going on in the community. So if you would like to come and join our inner circle, just reach out to me and I'll make sure that you can get connected.
Yeah, amazing. And where do people connect with you, Emily?
So you can find me on my website, mamahoodaftertrauma.ca, or you can find me on Instagram, emily.mamahoodaftertrauma.
Amazing. Emily, this was such a beautiful, nurturing, and supportive episode for our audience. I hope everyone who watched this feels supported and inspired as well by your story.
Awesome. Thanks, Ray. It was a pleasure.
Lovely to have you here. To all of our listeners, I hope you enjoyed this episode. 5 Keys to Thrive, all the things that you wish you knew sooner, by our incredible hosts, guests from all around the world, sharing their knowledge, inspiration, and stories to just support you to rise and thrive in business and life. And today's episode was certainly just a wonderful support for mamas who are navigating overwhelm and challenges with connecting and feeling peace and calm. So if you do enjoy this episode, make sure you share it with others who may need this guidance and support. And make sure you tune into more of our episodes featuring more amazing guests and speakers on our platform. My name is Raimonda Jan. I'm the founder of Women Prime Media, and we look forward to seeing you on another episode.